Okay, so this is the last video for Lab 5. So we're going to talk about hormonal response to stress. And this is essentially physiology at its, I guess, its simplest form. Okay, so we've got 3 objectives. All right, so stress. What is stress? Now, if I were to ask you this in class, a lot of you are going to say something like finals, this class, relationships, that sort of thing. When it comes to physiology, there's nothing specific that causes it, but ultimately it's something that's getting you out of homeostasis and causing a response. That's what stress is. And so when it comes to how we handle this, we call this the general adaptation syndrome. Okay, and with the general adaptation syndrome, there are 3 primary stages: the alarm stage, the resistance stage, and the exhaustion stage. And so we're going to go through each of these individually. With the alarm stage, this is what happens when a stressor is encountered. Now, there are all sorts of things that can cause stress. Exercise can cause stress. Seeing a person that you're trying to avoid can cause stress. Thinking about an exam can cause stress. Like, there's all sorts of things. When this happens, your sympathetic nervous system is activated. This causes epinephrine and norepinephrine to be released. And sometimes you can feel this, like, right, you're watching a scary movie and you're startled. Your alarm, your stress response kicks in, and so you kind of feel that release of norepinephrine and epinephrine in your chest. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're preparing to run or fight something. And so as a result, blood pressure is increased and your glucose in your bloodstream is increased, so you have energy for your muscles when you do fight or flight or run away. Then we've got the resistance stage. And so this kicks in after the stress has been around for a little while. And so what's happening is your parasympathetic nervous system is being activated to try and balance out the increase in sympathetic nervous system. Okay? You still have this increased sympathetic activity, but we're trying to minimize that. Okay? So we're trying to find that balance where you're still able to deal with this stress, but it's not causing all sorts of problems, right? High blood pressure is not a good thing. But if we're under stress, that high blood pressure can help us. And so we're trying to counteract that. Ultimately, the job and the goal is to bring the body back to homeostasis. And so that's what happens if we kick into the resistance stage. All right. But kind of the difference is it's not red alert anymore. It's like, okay, let's fix what's broken or what's damaged. And then finally, we've got the exhaustion stage. And we've all felt this way. I've felt this way a lot over the last year or 2 years, really since COVID hit, right? I think we're all kind of there. And so this is, you're exhausted. And in this case, your body has reduced resources, and so it's not able to fight as well as it would like to. Okay, and so this can be a problem. If the stress is gone, everything's going to be okay. Bodies are going to recover. Life's going to be back to normal, and all is well. However, if you reach this exhaustion stage, but the stress or the stressor is still there, that's not good. Body can't cope. Your condition starts to deteriorate, and that's not what we want to see, right? And a lot of times we see this. You can kind of see this at the end of finals, at the end of a school year, that sort of thing. You're pulling a bunch of all-nighters, you're staying up late, you're not necessarily taking care of yourself to the best that you can, and, you're likely to get sick, that sort of thing. And one of the hormones that's released is cortisol. Okay, cortisol is referred to as the stress hormone. And so when it comes to stress, we can kind of classify it as either short-term or long-term. Okay, and so we've got this schematic here that shows what's going on. Now, short-term we've talked about a little bit. This is really your fight or flight. And so I want you to notice here, and I'll put it on the pen. So you're going to have increased heart rate, increased blood pressure. We're increasing that blood glucose. Your airways are going to get bigger so you can get more oxygen in so you can run away or fight, that sort of thing. Okay? Whereas long-term stress, so this is something that's been around for a while. Now what we're doing is we're kind of redirecting how we're handling this. What's interesting is that in both cases we have increased blood pressure, but we're having that occur in different ways. And so we've got these hormones called mineral corticoids, so that's like aldosterone, which is one that you'll talk about in lab and we'll talk about later on in the semester. And then we've got these glucocorticoids, okay? So this is where these hormones help us convert fats and proteins into sugar so we can create ATP. This again leads to that increased blood glucose, but what happens is our immune system is depressed, right? Immune system, we're fighting off infection. That sounds like a good thing, but we're not putting energy there. We're putting energy into fighting whatever it is that's causing this stress. So what I just talked about, but here with some bullet points. So with short-term stress, it's epinephrine and norepinephrine causing increased heart rate, respiration, blood pressure, that sort of thing. The things that you would think would happen if you were to see a bear when you're out hiking. Long-term stress, on the other hand, is a little bit different. We've got those mineral corticoids such as aldosterone and the glucocorticoids such as cortisol. And what they do is they cause us to hold on to salt. Okay, and when we hold on to salt, that means we're going to hold on to water, which will increase blood pressure. We're also going to increase our blood sugar through cortisol, but this comes at a cost. We're not going to be able to have the inflammatory response. We're going to have decreased immune function, and so there's a trade-off there. And this is oftentimes why we get sick when we're stressed out. So what can you do? Or what do I need you to be able to do? Can you identify the different stages of the general adaptation syndrome? And then can you identify the hormones released during short-term and long-term stress and the effects of each of those hormones?